Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Ramos Law Difference Makers podcast. I'm Dr. Jim Hoven, and once again, I get an incredible and blessed opportunity to meet with someone, and in this case, someones who are making a difference in the lives of people, and in this case, little people, but not just little baby people, people that are all the way up to young adults. So you're going to love it. I won't go into all the details right here because we're going to get right into it. I am with the Juggernaut Volleyball co-owners, co-runners, the people making all this stuff happen, Miss Jess Sponneberg and Tara Olmstead. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's a privilege to be here.
And you know what? We're videoing this. We're also doing a podcast. So if people are listening, they're going to have a hard time necessarily telling who's talking because you guys are identical twins. It was funny when I've never met these guys before in person, and it turns out we have a ton of connections that we might go into here. But anyway, when I was first seeing them, I'm like, man, they had masks on as they were walking through the park. And I'm like, they kind of look familiar. They look like sisters, right? And so I asked them, are you guys sisters by chance? Yeah, we're pretty much sisters. So you guys, again,
pretty much sisters.
Pretty much sisters. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So excited. I'm thankful that the person we both know that we knew when this started, Ian, connected us because Ian has, literally, I'm not even kidding you, Ian has been such a blessing to us, and I hope that he's done that same thing for the club, but now for him to connect us in together on how you're making a difference in the lives of these kids, I am so excited for people to hear the story.
Thank you so much.
It doesn't surprise me that he's seeking out difference makers. That's his core. So yes, he's huge.
One of his strengths for sure. In
Absolutely.
fact, it's interesting. I don't know if you guys have ever done these kind of things, but we do different personality tests from time to time around here. And we just did one, and it's in Work Genius, right?
Okay.
And so what are our work geniuses? So there were a handful of us that took it as leadership throughout the team. And one of Ian, so we go through them together, right? Like everyone takes it and then we kind of pass them around. And I was just visiting with Ian this morning saying, hey man, what were your two? So what it does is there's 6 geniuses of work that they describe them. And basically it puts them into 3 categories. One is people, one is vision, innovation, things like that. And then one is getting things done, follow through. And so what they say, this is a guy named Michael Lencioni that has come up with this process. So if you've heard of the 6 dysfunctions of a team and all these other books, that's that guy.
Yeah.
So he says you'll have 2 that you're really strong in, 2 that you're competent in, and 2 that either you really hate or you're really bad at.
Okay.
And in my case, when I looked at it, mine was all the follow through stuff and all the just like pulling something out of nothing. Yeah. And I'm like, makes sense. So Ian's big one anyway was all about the people. And I think you guys
his connection,
definitely
his human
see
connection,
that, right? Yeah, that,
absolutely,
like, really good. And so the fact that he's connected us now,
that's great.
Man, I'm so glad. So to jump in, tell me about Juggernaut. Explain to the listeners or the viewers what Juggernaut is, how it got started, a little bit about the history, because it's one I'm connected to that we can talk about in a minute.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, it's a mouthful. I will start with kind of the history. We started in 2005, and Jess and I were just gym rats. Coaching for another club when we were super young.
How old were you? Because you guys seem super young right now.
Thank you. I love you. We're 36 now. We started this when we were 19.
And were you guys college players?
Yeah. So yeah, we did. We went to UCCS, University of Colorado, Colorado Springs, and transferred down to Metro to finish. And at that same time, we were coaching for Colorado Volleyball Company, which is where we played, and we were coaching back there. And Frank Gray, who owned Boulder Volleyball Club, coached against us as just a rival club and knew us and came to us one day and said, hey, I'm starting a club. I want you guys to be a part of it. Come to my house Friday at 7 o'clock. We're like, 19 years old. We literally just lived in the gym. That's all we wanted to do. So we said, okay, knocked on the door, and he put on this presentation that just knocked our socks off. We have this new facility. It is covered in dirt and grime. It used to be a TDS warehouse. If you're interested, come tomorrow. We're going to start cleaning this up. We have tryouts in 2 weeks. Let's do this. So then Jess and I show up. We start painting and cleaning and scrubbing and all these things. And we run this tryout at what used to be the old Oasis before it moved locations. And we didn't know if we were going to have 10 kids, 20 kids. The line was wrapped.
The Oasis, the indoor sand, and that whole combo facility?
That's right.
The island in the Oasis,
They used
right?
to have an indoor court.
Yeah, their older
couple
facility.
Of courts indoor.
And we had to borrow it because our facility wasn't done yet. So we had 3 courts in there, 3 hard courts. and we don't know how many kids we're going to have, you know?
Yeah.
And the line was wrapped around the building. I mean,
now,
we had
why was that?
hundreds.
Because it's like a new restaurant. Some restaurants
Right.
open and there's nothing there. You got to build the buzz. But
Yep.
some restaurants open, and because of their brand, they're packed. But there was no brand. What caused that? In this case?
There was a brand. I mean,
there was?
Yep, Frank. I mean,
Frank was the brand.
So when he wanted to start Juggernaut, he actually said, "I'd like to kind of combine my club," and so he brought his whole club. Anybody who wanted to continue and mold this, because Boulder Volleyball was not going to continue. So, and he's an amazing, popular, positive, hilarious, great, phenomenal coach with a resume as well. And his connection with everybody that he works with, I mean, he had a huge clientele. So he brought them all in, plus a bunch of people that wanted a fresh start, changed clubs. So, I mean, I think there were over 300 people at that tryout. And
that's amazing.
Yeah, you should have seen us running around. You know, we have it all staffed out. Like, hey, you're gonna have 10 kids over here and 10 kids over here, and then it's like, hey, you have 50 kids over here, 50 kids over here. I mean, it was awesome. It was just awesome. Volleyballs everywhere, kids everywhere, and we started that way. So then we had our tryouts and went to our facility, and we finished putting the floor down and the paint like 3 hours before our very first practice, and I mean, we're just standing up in the mezzanine at like 4 a.m. We're all so slap happy and tired and like just emotional because we got kids walking in a couple hours, and then that was in 2005.
Yeah, there were a lot of partners that got to participate in the starting of the club, and so when we had a couple guys from Sports Performance, Tom Pasco, John Naskowitz, and then we also had the person who helped fund the program, which was Mark Lamfier, who we actually purchased the club from just recently. So.
Now, how recently did you guys purchase it?
Well, this last year.
Yep.
Congratulations.
It was about a 2-3 year transition, and we just sealed the deal last year. And Mark has been incredible. I mean, he was the guy who said, he was the finance guy.
He had a daughter at Chatfield High School.
Yep.
Okay.
He said, "What are your dreams?" And he never put a limit on it. And we would be, "Oh, we want this, and we can totally see this." And he's like, "Let's make it happen. Let's make it happen." And so he just fueled the opportunity for us to make our dreams come true in a volleyball fashion. And it's stemmed to so many different things besides volleyball,
and that's the kind of stuff I want to talk about, because I didn't know any of the story, but I knew how small businesses work. I had a chance to be involved in lots of those and see what's happening. And a volleyball club is interesting. So I was with a couple partners, part of a huge CrossFit. We owned a CrossFit place.
Okay.
And thank God we sold it the November before the pandemic hit.
Oh, wow.
And that was a game changer because right, obviously with the way that things worked in the fitness world. I'm interested for you guys as small business. So take off your coaching and your influence hat, put on your small business hat right now. Awesome. We closed a year and a half ago, and now
Months
we can't
later,
bring anybody
COVID.
in. How did that go? What was that transition as a small business owner, new business of you guys with this huge dream of what you're going to do for kids in the world, and then it's snatched away instantly? What was that like?
Right,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Well, we ended up, first of all, giving a ton of kudos to our community and coaches, because through this whole thing, they were the ones who really stepped up. So the signing process in Colorado is usually in July for a season that doesn't start normally until November.
Signing of athletes.
Signing of athletes, it's very official for club volleyball, but you have to sign a contract with the club, and you can't transfer clubs for the remainder of the season. It's a USAV binding contract, basically.
Got it.
So they play for a club, and that just helps kids relax where they're at, not have to worry about recruiting and things like that. So, we've got over 225 athletes signed by the end of August, and we're getting ready to roll out 23 teams. And we go through, November, which the fall is for high school and middle school volleyball, let them be. And then once we hit November, we do preseason. December starts training. January starts competition. We have national qualifier, a big one, as you may have heard, Colorado Crossroads in March.
Yes.
So we have 2 weekends of this Crossroads tournament. First weekend is younger group, so 14s down to 11s. And then the second weekend is more of a recruiting age group, 15s through 18s. 24 hours before the second weekend of Crossroads comes, the city shuts down. So truly, teams from all around the country flew already into Denver and then could not participate in the tournament. Luckily, we had a huge, presence of college coaches watching our practice that night before, which we got some exposure, we got some video. but that's a big tournament for those kids. So literally 24 hours before that shuts down, 4 days later, we were on Zoom doing PT workouts, doing film session review, doing everything we can to just keep the positive light and go, you know what? This is insane. Let's see what we can do. Let's stay together. Let's keep the community together. And we stopped billing our customers. So
wait, you stopped because they pay a season fee or a monthly fee or something?
They pay monthly. It happened for a couple of reasons. First of all, we didn't want to have people paying for a service they couldn't necessarily that we couldn't render. So we were also in a great time of year where it kind of was a break-even moment because we only had a few months left of season. And we have payment plans for people who could start as early as July so that they can have lower monthly payments. But when that month came, we said, you know what? We are almost break even with all of our customers. They probably owe, on an average, somewhere between $200, maybe $600 per account. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to ask them to kind of, make their last payment in March and then hold off. We don't know. The doors have closed. Just stop. What we're going to do is offer a service, whatever we can do, 5-6 days a week of recovery workouts, plyometric workouts. We were at the park. We went to Sloan's Lake. We did it in my living room, Tara's living room.
We would throw in like skits once in a while.
Yeah.
Just to keep them like in, headbands and like the funny outfits and stuff just to keep them laughing on Zoom,
Yeah. And do competition workouts as well. So that they're really staying accountable to their workouts and staying in shape and knowing that when this all ends, they're going to feel proud with the work that they did. So Tara's, 6 months pregnant at the time, jumping up and down with twins.
Wow, twins having twins. I love it.
I figured you would. It's a good one. So then parents, we said, we don't know what everybody else is going through, but we're going to offer this. It's different than what we normally offer, but if you want to donate some money, go right ahead. People said, I find value in this. My kids are going insane at home. So absolutely, here's a donation. We'll do this per workout. We'll do this lump sum per month. And it really helped us kind of just transition that time of, making it right for our customers and not billing them, but also we had bills to pay. We had tournaments that we had already prepaid for who they only give you a certain amount back because the city only gives them a certain amount back, so on and so forth. So knowing that we didn't know at that moment that we weren't going to have the rest of the season, and some of those seniors didn't step foot on the court again. And we were very hopeful and tried really hard to just make sure that these folks knew that when doors opened again the next year, we were going to be here and we were going to do everything we can with everything we had. And we ended up having like 76% retention. And
that has to be huge. I don't know if you could compare to other clubs around, but that is
normally we
enormous.
have a pretty cool, this year, it's going to make me tear up. We've got 25 seniors. 13 of them are lifers. Lifers for Juggernaut program means that they've been a part of the program for 5 or more years.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And so our retention is everything. We don't want to take them for a year. We don't want to out-recruit them the next year. We want to build a community. We want them to become the best athletes possible. We leave spots open on rosters every year for talent that can come in and contribute, for sure. But we really thrive on taking our kids through the finish line. And whether that's going and playing in college or finding their dream school for education, obviously we don't it's not an all or nothing scholarship, go play volleyball or nothing. It's academics first, and volleyball is the best tool we've found to do what we want to do for these young athletes.
That's
girls and boys.
Amazing. And girls and boys, I think that's so cool. That's where Ian comes into play. He coaches along with another guy, a boys team, and I know he finds a lot out of it that he get, and I've watched him grow from helping others grow. I'm interested for you guys, what made you decide that you want to run, own, have the business as opposed to, the start of gym rats loving the game? Mm-hmm. There has to be something more to it that led you to take that step, because that's chicken and egg stuff. Like the chicken's kind of committed, but the egg's real committed.
Right.
Absolutely.
At that point. What did you guys do that transformed into that space?
Gosh, it has to be just the lifelong motivation of doing something you love for a living.
And having the value. There's a value in that.
And the support system to do it. So, a lot of people go to work, clock in, clock out, and then they come home going, what am I going to do for dinner and whatever. And it's just a different vibe. But when you have people constantly supporting you and telling you you can do whatever you want in life, like you don't have to do something just to pay the bills and then something else that you love on the side. You can make this your life. And I don't know, I think that's probably the biggest part, is knowing that we can do this for a living. And it wasn't inspired by money by any means. It was inspired by quality of life. I mean, we have an alumni tournament every year, and these kids have been coming back. The kids who graduated in 2005 with their spouses and their kids, and they get to play our current Juggernaut teams, and we take a huge picture, and we got these little runts, you know, they're little babies in the bottom of the picture, and the families coming back, and the parents just going, you know, they just want to be a part of it. There's still parents from the alumni who come back and volunteer for different things that we have going on. And it's just bigger than life. It's bigger than volleyball, and it's way bigger than us individually, and it's really cool to be a part of that.
Do you guys have an official club mission, club vision, a mission statement, anything? I would be interested to hear that, because your passion comes through loud and clear. Literally, I sensed your passion before we said a word. Watching you guys walk through the parking lot into the space, just the way you carry yourselves, I'm like,
I've practiced that walk for a really long time.
Yeah.
I did a couple paces in the parking lot.
That's the volleyball athlete, like scholarship, make it happen walk right there. And I'm like, this is going to be a good show, right? I can tell because there's certainty, there's movement, there's confidence, all that stuff. You can see it when you're used to looking for it. And so what's the vision? What's the mission of Juggernaut?
Building strong, confident athletes.
Period.
Yep. So we've done a lot to, especially renaming or redefining and making sure that our mission is still true over the years. You know, when Frank left, when Mark left, different things, when we transition, every year, if we're going to continue something, we look at it and decide we're going to continue it, but we don't just do it by default. So one of the things that we love about our coaches is that they come in as good people, and then we sharpen the knife regarding the skills. And I mean, the game of volleyball is so much fun, but it's simple compared to the byproduct of life skills and things like that. So the confidence, like I was driving over here thinking, I wonder what we're going to talk about, you know, and just kind of having fun going into the culture of the gym and things like that. And I came across all these athletes in my head, specifically thinking about the confidence growth that they have. And our job is to just hold up a mirror constantly and then teach them how to read the mirror. And then eventually they hold up their own mirror, and then they walk out the door and they graduate. And
wow. That's really so impressive. Have you guys explained it like that to them, or is that your behind the scenes thing?
It is. It's actually a pretty common conversation that we have with them.
Yeah.
I mean, it starts when they join our club team. We have a youth program that they are in charge of them, you know, and we're there to help them. Their parents are there to help them. Their teachers are there to help them. Their teammates are for sure there to help them. But, you know, they have permission to find out who they are and to stand up for what they believe in. And it comes down to the simple lesson of, if you want to talk about playing time with your coach, you know, mom and dad, they don't have that conversation. Even the little ones, you have that conversation.
Right.
And we teach our coaches how to have that open door policy, so that this little scared 10, 11, 12-year-old who's going up to coach going, hey, I have a question, you know, and they're super nervous about, you know, just approaching them about playing time. And the coach will help advocate for what they need and what they desire, and teach them, you know, about earning more playing time and what that looks like, and let's make a goal sheet and all these things. So then they leave and they go, I just had this awesome conversation with my coach. Now I can talk to my teachers about my grades, and I can ask them how I can better apply myself here and there. And the parents, even though the parents can articulate this 1,000 times better than the kids initially, it's immediately like just gratifying for the kid and for the parent to go, wow, my kid just grew up right in front of my eyes. And that's what we live for. That first in front of us, I mean, so many first moments, from hitting a certain play and getting their first kill. I mean, we live for those moments,
yes.
let alone when that kid walks away going, oh, that was scary, but I just did it, you know?
So Tara awesome. Actually gets to work with the youth a lot more. She's the director of the youth development program. So she gets to see a lot of first serves over the net, overhand serves, because we don't do underhand serves at the gym, and we really just try to get them to learn the skills they're going to use forever. Tara gets to see the first serves all the time. And you'd think that she kept fireworks in her back pocket every time a kid serves, and they just look around and everybody just rushes over to them like they just won the, World Series. And it is the coolest thing ever. So those things, obviously, they translate to the game easily.
Yeah, well, that gives me like goosebumps hearing those kind of moments and stories, taking me back when I was a coach. I knew how to play, but I didn't know how to coach. I was coaching a Y team for my kid, but the wrapping up my heart into their success and watching the change was like something I'd never experienced, even as an athlete that participated in whatever sport. So, it makes me, I don't know if you've ever thought about this, but how cool would it be that mirror image? I've never heard it, where first we're going to hold up a mirror to you and show you, and when you leave here, you're going to have a mirror. I'm wondering, would it be a cool thing? Maybe I already do this, but giving them a mirror either as symbolic when they sign up or when they term out.
Oh, okay, so I will tell you that one of the reasons I think about that analogy is because of a coach, Joan Keyser. So back when I played soccer.
Now, were you soccer and volleyball?
And basketball. Yeah, we were triathletes for a while.
Both of you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Why not?
And then basketball was the first thing to go. It was, wasn't very good at it anyway. And then soccer was actually my number one passion, but I didn't have as much fun. So anyway, volleyball became the winner. Back in middle school, when I was playing club soccer for Joan Keyser, and back when it was, it went through Legends, Westminster Wolves Legends, Explosion. She was the first main example of a strong female in my life, other than my mom. And so we had this soccer party, and she gave awards to every kid about their strength. Not everybody gets an award, but hey, you get this award. And I remember she gave me a merit award, and then she gave everybody these little box, like a little white jewelry box, and she had everybody open it, and she had written up this quote, and it was a mirror. And I remember that to this day, because she was the first person who really taught true integrity. And she had overcome a lot. She had lost her son in a plane crash on Mother's Day in front of her eyes. Oh. It was very devastating. And her daughter, Jessica Keyser, Keyser Clayton, I think is her name now. Hope it's okay that I'm mentioning other people.
Sure. They
these
love
are the
it.
people that helped us do what we do and passed positivity along to us. But she was the sweeper. I was a goalie, and so we had a crazy good bond. And Joan was she was that person who, it's raining and snowing outside, and everybody else in the area canceled practice, and we were like, this is a great time to practice slide tackling. It's wet out. Let's get the bags out. And so she was that first person, and then it moved on to the next. Just strong females are important for female players, and
mentors, role models.
Yeah, there was it went to Kate Ginsburg when we were coaching at Covico. We went back and coached with her, and then so on and so forth. That's what it's all about. We find, and we've had great male coaches as well, but guys and girls can contribute different things to every athlete, and you pick up different things that you want. And Coach Tony Duran, back in the day, he used to be a boxer, but he was one of our soccer coaches as well. Passed away, but he was the guy who taught us you can know a lot, but it really, you got to be sensitive too. And he had the biggest heart of any coach I think I've ever met. And we've been around a lot of coaches who brought different things to the plate, and we'll never forget that. That's good stuff. Pass it on. That's
absolutely
what cheating and coaching is like. You know what I mean? Not necessarily cheating, but stealing from everybody else, keeping an open mind. That's a compliment, and I want to compliment everybody that we've
biggest form of flattery.
Absolutely,
right? Imitation, taking, and sharing. What about parents? I'm interested because again, when I did far more playing than coaching. I did some volleyball reffing. And it was interesting as you watch, and I did a lot of medical work on football, Little League football tournaments, where I was the event doctor, if you will, helping if they got hurt. Yep. And so I'd walk the sidelines, and some parents get it, and some parents don't. I was horrified by what I would see by some football parents, how they would act in front of their kids who were on the field, right? What advice, what structure, how do you help the parents be not coaching them all the time, letting you guys do your job, cheering, not booing? Is there something that you do to consciously work on parents?
We do. It's called a mandatory meeting. It's called Parenting 101.
It's actually now Juggernaut 101 because we incorporate lots of things, but we don't want to try to tell them how to do their job.
Right.
Especially, I'm the only one now who doesn't have a kid. But
well, and it's I mean, it is Parenting 101, but it's being a juggernaut, an athlete's parent. So it's mandatory for all parents before the season starts. We bring them all into the facility, and we sit them down, and we start off by saying, we're not here to tell you how to be parents. We're here to tell you how to be your athlete's supporter. First and foremost, these are the players' roles, and these are your roles, and they're very simple. The player comes in, practices their butts off. They have communication with their coach, and you support them in any way. You say, good job. I love watching you play. Things like, where do you want to eat? And we kind of go through different role. This is the fun part of our job. We actually will role play on the stage, Jess and I, with a very upset player. You know, they get out of practice, they storm into the minivan, slam the door, and the first thing parent wants to say is, well, what did your coach say? What happened today? And the kid, you know, will rant and rave. Oh, they said this. Oh, they said that. I'm not playing because of so-and-so. And we kind of show what that can do. And really what it does is just, it allows them to vent, yes, but it really just takes them down this negative path. When you can channel this into a positive experience. You see your kid is upset when they get into the car, and this is after practice or a game. And the first thing you say is, I love you. I love watching you play. And if you don't know what else to say, just say, where do you want to eat? And it gets the kid just to go, and then just give us some time. And sure enough, the kid is going to need their parents. That's what they're there for. And when they just relax and they get time to breathe, they'll most likely say, Mom, Dad, I'm in this situation. What do I do? And you can parent them, and you can help them say, well, have you talked to your coach? And let's practice this conversation. Have this conversation with your coach. Because those are the hard days. You know, not every day is easy. Not everybody gets to play all the time. But that can help that kid through not just volleyball, but life, school, their peers, with their family, college, and with their future job. You know, how do you approach your boss and have this hard conversation with them? Well, I started when I was 10 years old having these conversations. I got this, you know.
What about those parents that are they played, they know the game, or they think they know the game, and they're on the sidelines? And of course, I know there's been a lot less sideline availability of late, but of them saying, come on, you got to get your hands together. Your footwork's not right. Your timing's off. Yep. What happens in that case?
To be honest with you, we have zero tolerance with that.
Okay, so is that part of Parenting 101?
Absolutely.
Like, don't be shouting out from the stands.
Absolutely. We want our parents to come in and watch practices, and we want them to be a part of the sidelines on game days, just to be a part of watching them grow.
Yes.
But not taking that physical action.
Not part of the experience.
Yeah, because they'll take away from,
for sure.
They need that time to grow away from mom and dad. And I'm learning this. Oh my gosh, I can't. It's so hard for me to be away from my twins. And I'm just like, wow, this is cool. Like, I know they're at grandma's house right now, and I know they're learning so much more because I'm not there. You know, they're learning in a different form because I'm not there. And the parents have to be told, trust us. And it's hard to trust people, especially if you don't know us. It's hard to trust other people with your children. That's why we had that open door policy. Come in, watch practices from the mezzanine, but you're not allowed on the floor, and you're not allowed to coach them. And if we see the kid looking up, you know, to the mezzanine, we have that lesson with like, hey, try to disengage, be here with your team. And if it becomes a bigger issue, then we just get more space between them, you know. But on game day, you know, zero tolerance. You're there as a fan. You cheer for both teams and good effort for both teams. And you give your kid a hug and a kiss when they're done, and that's it, you know. And you're going to see way more growth and a faster progression that way than nitpicking everything, you know. And that's hard. It is really hard, especially if you have played yourself, you know.
I can't imagine how I'm going to, like, just, oh my gosh, you get your fingers apart, you know. I think it's important to have these conversations, let them hear from you directly, which is why we have that great big meeting at the beginning of the year. But we also have, you know, this handbook that we just go, we want you to, when it comes down to it, if you're not sure what to do, you follow these steps. And we have an open door policy, but we just want to try these exercises first, you know. Our grievance procedure, which I've presented at the region when I was the junior girls representative on the board, and other club directors were like, "Can I sit down and have coffee with you?" Because parents are the worst part. And I think it's really just because parents aren't quite sure maybe how to instill themselves. I mean, we kind of talk about it as a little tripod. There's the village of people that make us all successful, and the parents, we want to work with them. And by explaining different roles and clarifying that for them, they get to know where their role is. Mm-hmm. And if they ever want to have a conversation, or if they've got problems, we've got ways to deal with it.
Yeah. That's so cool.
We just don't want to. We never want those to be deal breakers. We've had so many great meetings. Mm-hmm. I mean, over the 16 years of sitting down and going, this is just. I mean, it's one big social experiment, really. That's the geek out, the geek in us that I just love that. I love meeting with people and talking about things and working through things with people. And sometimes they just want to be heard, and then they can understand how to go about what they feel. And some people who, I mean, simple things like a parent coming in going, I just don't know why my kid can't play back row. And, being able to explain to them it's the position that they play. They're running a 6'2", and they're going, tell me more. What's a 6'2"? And having two setters on the court, and if your daughter, why can't my daughter just serve the ball? She's a great server, but she's not a setter. So if she serves, that means you have no setter on the court. And they go, oh,
get it.
I get it.
Well, you talked to. I'm interested in something on that note.
Sure.
It's a two-part question, and I'll ask them both, and then let you guys answer them how you want. Earlier, you had said that every year you evaluate basically the core procedures of the club or the core processes. You keep some, you lose some. Mm-hmm. I'd be interested for you to share one core process that was like, you put the ham in the dinner in this plate. Why do you put it in this thing? Why do you put it in this thing? Every generation. Mm-hmm. Pretty soon, well, that's just how you do it. That's just how you do it. Mm-hmm. And then when you go back far enough, they say, well, Grandma didn't have a pot big enough, so that's why we did it.
Right.
And it was the wrong reason the whole time to keep doing something. It sounds like you guys evaluate that every year. I would love to hear one thing that you've added, that you've brought into the system, and one thing that you've taken away. So that's the first question from what it was, because you're obviously developing it. Number two, both of you speak so confidently and certainly not only about the humanity side, the technical side, and now I'm hearing the business side. What did you both study in college? Were you groomed for this, or have you gone through? And I see those two dovetailing together, those two questions, if that makes sense, because who you are and where you've grown up determines what your policies you will do and how you act. And then now, how are you executing that with this formation of an annual audit?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so excuse me. I definitely, so some of the things that I could go on forever.
I know.
How much time do you have? I'm going to make this quick. So one of the things that evolves, because the sport evolves a lot, there's technique in the game, and there's the way to train it. And we had so many people on staff from so many different backgrounds who contributed their ideas of how to train, including overseas training, China, Brazil, and everything in between, Texas, California, the East Coast, West Coast battle, everything in between. And we got to see what, the effort that it took to try to teach Colorado kids how to play like China, how to play like, California, Texas. The truth is there wasn't enough time in the day or hour or days of the week to train that way. So what we did over time, this is what we took from it. This is kind of how we changed things. Love that technique. How can we get that done in 5.5 hours this week instead of 19? Because back in the day it was absurd how much the training, how much practice we asked the kids. And that was definitely more of the East Coast training. That wasn't going to be successful here in Colorado. People don't have that much time to give to the sport, and we wanted more family balance. We wanted more life balance.
Sure.
Go to the mountains and go ski. Don't be afraid to snowboard during season. Although things happen, and people get hurt, and they've got scholarships on the line. Use your best judgment. You got this. But no, this isn't. It's not one way or the highway. It's not China. It's not California. However, learning from them. They'll give us things for sure, and we'll have to mold them into Colorado way, into, you know, the size of our athletes, the stature, the ability to breathe at, you know, 5,280 feet above sea level versus other places that can't, what we can get away with, what we can't get away with. So the evolution of the training is something that, with coach committee, with open mind, with great conversations, sometimes after practice with coaches that sit in the office for hours, including Ian's wife, Jamie. I mean, she's more of a gym rat than I think I've ever met. Just sitting and talking, it stems up so much of that. Why are we doing that? Well, let's do this. Great. And this is why. And, you know, Ian gave us a tour of your place and showed us your war room. We're getting one of those. We're totally going to steal that idea. Just whiteboards all on 2 walls, bulletin boards on the other wall, you know, projector. It's the best. It's so cool because our coaches aren't afraid of you know, positive, you know, contribution towards breaking down maybe something that they've got a better idea, or they want to know it more, you know, and so that I think that's a huge part of giving and taking over the years. Is being able to evolve
and moving, changing. I know from training techniques, whether you're talking about a sport or physical training for your health, the techniques, the dynamics, everything changes, and the basics and the fundamentals are there, but then it can alternate. Is there anything that you've really, like a policy that you're like, man, we're dumping this. This just doesn't work anymore as far as how you run the business side?
I think the first thing that comes to mind is when we first started, it was just very volleyball. Parents weren't allowed to watch practices. Parents aren't allowed to talk to coaches.
I remember that. Yep, I remember those days.
And it was, I mean, Jess and I, some of our closest acquaintances are the kids' parents. These people are amazing. They've developed the kids that are in our club, let alone their stories, you know? And I think that's the biggest thing that we got rid of was absolutely
They're not our enemies. Parents are part of our success.
Yeah, they're the tribe.
Yep. Yeah, they're the tribe. Yeah, we need them. We love them. We can grow from them. You know, they're amazing. They're not meant to be, you know, just customers, or we don't even look at them that way. We look at them as our family. You know, we look out for them. They support us in many ways, emotional, especially through the pandemic. They've just been outstanding. It's not a client relationship. It's a family relationship.
So good.
Yeah.
And what about studies? Tell me, what did you guys study in college?
Well, sports marketing and management.
Okay.
Same physical therapy, actually, in that sense, but mostly just in that sports world. I will say that with having Mark Lamphere, who was a great business mind, I should have just put my tuition towards him.
Yeah.
He did such a great job of I mean, he didn't know the game really. You know, he learned that over time, but what he knew was communication skills and things like that. Obviously, we do things very differently, but that was awesome to be able to learn from him. And then Dave Solar, who was a director for a few years, he actually came from Club Fusion. He actually was one of the most peaceful mentors I've ever had. He taught me patience, how to really just kind of listen and pause for a moment. And those kinds of things stick with me daily. You know, and I think that the work that we have to do with our kids, teaching them confidence and being able to teach our coaches how to teach that, we have to constantly sharpen those things up as well. I mean, you know, I weighed my backpack the other day because I'm going to start backpacking, I think. I don't know. Anyway,
nice.
And I had to see how much it weighed because I want to start training. So, and it was like 17 pounds. And it's because I carry books everywhere I go. And every second I get, I'm reading the culture code or mindfulness of the athlete and different things like that. And we've got a huge book collection at the gym that people are taking whenever they want to, and they're checking books out. And I mean, that's the eagerness and constant thrive to learn is what keeps the pulse of everything we do. You know?
That is so good. And you know what? You guys have shared so much practical business wisdom that I'm like, man, my paper's already full of things that I wanted to go through and ask. I haven't touched hardly any of them, and I wanted more space to take all these notes because you've really filled my heart up with what we can do in the businesses that I'm associated with here at the Ramos Law and the other things that I like to do. but they're fundamentally sound in anything. And I can tell that you guys have just grabbed onto that. Is there a piece of advice that each of you has gotten, one piece that either you've gotten that has helped you to this point in your life, or that you've learned along the way that you would share for other people, that you would say, man, this is the one nugget? There's lots of nuggets out there, but there's one. Would you each share one with me?
I wonder if ours is going to be the same.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, you're identical twins. Why wouldn't it be?
Well, no,
I'm not
I mean,
going to say that, though. I think they're going to be different. That's what I think.
Actually, Frank told us, because we were stressing out about just balance, life balance, and we just thought the world was going to crumble without, you know, us being there all the time and this and that. And he was just like, "You are replaceable." Is that what you were going to say?
Maybe.
Okay. Here's why. Because, like, and you think, like, ooh, that kind of sounds harsh. But what it did was made us giggle, you know, and then it goes, you have to balance your life. You know, you got to think this practice will survive without your hands on every single drill, which makes you, in return, delegate and teach more people and expand, and then your balance is more spread out. You know, you have more of a balance instead of, I mean, we stayed the night at Juggernaut. I mean, we slept on couches. We were there first thing in the morning, last to leave. We brought our dogs to the gym. We never saw our families. You know, we were never able to develop our own families. And then a gut check of, hey, there's more to life than just volleyball. That was really cool. That was by far something that has helped me really delegate and rely and love how we can share this with more people. Because like Jess mentioned, Jamie, Ian's wife, she's just a prime example of, she's been there with us since day one, first as a player, then went off to college. Now she came back and she's working for us full time. She's outstanding. I mean, I was on maternity leave and she's just amazing. Like, I just knew whatever she had her hands on, it was going to thrive because she's invested, she's a great person, and she's very talented. So, and it's just people like that. Brenda, our business manager, Hannah Snyder, she's in our office. And all these people, our coaches, every time we come into practice and we do a coaches meeting, it's like, I know this drill is going to be outstanding because you're awesome. And you know, you've read the handbook, you've done all the coaches clinics, you've shadowed us, you've taken a national team. So I can say, hey, you're running this drill with the outside hitters. And that's all I have to say. Give her the piece of paper and she goes off and she runs an outstanding drill. And it's just, in every category, we have that at Juggernaut. And it was really, you know, less masters and more balance of a family and everybody contributing. So because everybody deserves to be a part of it too. It's way bigger. Jess and I don't deserve all the credit. Everyone does. All the way down from our families to people who have just joined our Friday night youth leagues to the people who are the most invested on the national team. Everyone deserves a piece of this credit because they're a part of it. You know, that's so huge. And the one thing I would add to that, because you've said it so well, is there's a leadership expert. His name is John Maxwell. He's considered the leadership guru in America right now. He's written 86 books, working on his 87th coming out. He's in his early to mid 70s, about 74 now. Yeah. And he talks about the impact that you have. If you want to have a deep impact, do it by yourself. But if you want to go really far and have a deep impact that's way wider than your own circle, you got to enlist people. And that's exactly what you guys have done, right? Is leverage people's talents and skills and strengths, and it's beautiful. Yeah, it is beautiful. What about you, Jess? What's the big
Well, I will say, because of that advice that Frank gave, that was the summer that we were debating to go to. Well, me personally, I was debating to go to University of Nebraska and run a coaching clinic, or run a volleyball clinic with John Cook. I almost turned that down just because I was like, well, who's going to run Libero school? You know, and it's so silly. So that was awesome to just, that actually bettered the club by going in and getting that education, and that was huge. So I think the other thing that the main bit of advice is have fun what you're doing. If you're not enjoying what you're doing, then the kids aren't enjoying it, and what's the point? What's the point of being good at some? I mean, that was my path for soccer. I would say I was better at it than volleyball at that time when I quit it. But I was not enjoying it, and I think that was the best decision of my life, to follow my heart in that moment. There were lots of times through Juggernaut where I had to work really hard to figure out how to stay happy doing what I was doing. But in those moments, it was the kids that kept us coming back, because it was hard. I mean, there was no money, and you know, the priority was to feed the dog and keep the electricity on. And one time the electricity didn't stay on, but the dog got fed, and I still loved coaching. And that was the foundation of just reminding myself, first of all, that's silly. I've got my priorities upside down, doing what I love, but I'm not doing this right. So how can I do that? How can I, you know, make sure I'm not being taken advantage of to do too much, you know, make sure that I'm serving the way that I think that I can serve the community. And then also, when am I going to start, you know, finding that balance and reward so that I can relax and not stress about finding ways to do what I love and making it make sense.
That is amazing. I'll tell you, you guys, if I had, my kids are older now, our kids are older, but if I had kids that were at all interested in volleyball, just the time that we've shared, I wouldn't want them playing anywhere else, because I know that just like in any business that I've been associated with, the quality of the experience starts at the very top. Here at Ramos with Dr. Ramos, he's a quality guy, and it goes all the way down from there. You guys have demonstrated to me more just genuine love and connection and commitment to your game, your passion, your family, your tribe, than I've seen in a long time. And I'm telling you, it's amazing. How could people, if they wanted to learn more about Juggernaut, if they wanted to talk about their kids, boys or girls, what would they do to learn more about the club?
Yeah, so the front page of our website is updated weekly by Jamie Corella, and she is right now releasing the next month and a half of clinics and ways to get into the gym. We're year round, so you can always come in and see what we do and how we do it. And then there are certain tryout times. And so on our website, you'll see basically, depending on the age, depending on what your interest is, you know, how to get in the gym. We always take people and they go, okay, where do you suggest I go from here? Okay, you're this age, we think that you should start with our youth development program. You actually don't even play for a club right now, and we could use another 15-year-old. How about you practice with them this week? And boom. Especially with COVID, we've had to really open our mind to that, you know, people not knowing when tryouts were and not having all of that information. So the best thing to do is if they wanted to contact us, I mean, my email is jess@juggernautvolleyball.com, and Tara is Tara with an H @juggernautvolleyball.com. We can make sure that they get to the right people. If it's not us, we've got a whole list of gym rat coaches that do private lessons. And with that, they'll do that kind of like, they can evaluate them and go, here, I think you should try this next. Try doing lessons with this coach who loves blocking. Try doing lessons with this coach who loves defense. Although all of our coaches are, I would say, they're stamp certified, so they're capable of coaching anyone. They have to go through a whole certification process to make sure that they're giving, that each Juggernaut private lesson clinician is qualified.
Absolutely.
And so, but yeah, we've got a lot. Brenda Robinson, who is our business manager, she is phenomenal at organizing entries at any time of the year. And so we really what's great about Brenda is that we are never restricted because of logistics or paperwork or any of the back end stuff. She makes it happen. So if anybody ever wants to get in and wants to do this or that, she's like, give me a few hours. And I'm like,
give me a few hours.
Great. She's incredible. You know, she's great. And so, yeah, we're prepared to take people at any time. And if we say, you know, we're not doing this quite yet, or that's not, you can't sign a contract quite yet, here's what you can do until then. I mean, we've got a facility off of Ward Road in Wheat Ridge. Like Tara said, it was an old tire distributing center, service warehouse. And it's our home. We've been there for 16 years, and so they can literally pop in. Right now, because of COVID, I suggest an email first, but and we can find a way to get them in. I got a contact from somebody who lives in Texas. That they're going to be traveling to Colorado for training with our boys a couple times a year now. And so, you know, whoever you are, wherever you're from, come on in, and we will find a way to make sure that you have access to what you need.
I love that. And you know what? I got to say, you two are such great mentors for people, such great leaders in your field and what you do, but for people in general. a lot of people need to, I hope you're hanging out with lots of people because they need to learn from you to be better humans. So
oh my gosh, you're so sweet.
No, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for joining me. Thanks for taking the time. Continued success to Juggernaut, and just know you have a friend in us at Ramos Law always and forever.
Likewise. Thank you so much.
All right. You guys have a great day.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you.